YouTubers and cinephiles, welcome back to another edition of Nerd with me, John Ricky here, back with another classic review. And today is another special review. We're going to be reviewing the series that helped us come up with our rating system. So yes, we're going to talk about the series that gave us our highest rating, Terminator. And this is going to be a two-part series. For this video, we're going to talk about the original two, and then on the next video, we're going to talk about the others that followed. So stay tuned. Terminator was released in 1984, and it was written and directed by the king of blockbusters himself, James Cameron, on which this was his second feature film. And this film launched so many careers, legends in Hollywood, including that of Sam Winston, creature effects extraordinaire, and catapulted the Arnold Schwarzenegger and created his catchphrase, "You know what I'm talking about," and definitely catapulted his star even further because a few years prior to that he starred in Conan the Barbarian to great acclaim. And it also sparked the careers of newcomers Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn, who both go on to have a great relationship with James Cameron and starred in most of their films. It's particularly Michael Biehn. Now the premise is very simple. A cyborg from 2029 comes back into the present 1984 to assassinate the future leader of the human resistance while he's still in his mother's womb. It's like they took the whole concept of the chicken before the egg theory or brain teaser and just multiplied it by 1,000 there. It's a very simple concept, and it's really just a chase movie with a sci-fi twist. But the funny thing is that when it came out, it was originally considered a horror movie, but it's really just a sci-fi action film. But I can see how they can do that, because you can technically call Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, he's kind of like the Jaws of the film. This film is smooth in its pace and its progression. Action sequences are phenomenal for the time and still hold up today. It's a really good thriller to the core, and James Cameron wrote it excellently. Gives you enough emotion in there involving the character, Michael Bihn's character, Kyle Reese, with his past. You feel for a lot of the themes that go in there are really great, like how great things can come from small beginnings. Like for the fact that the main character, Sarah Connor, you come and see her, she's supposed to be the mother of the future resistance, and she's just a menial waitress, a scared, nervous waitress that's really just trying to get by. Some really great dynamics. Anyway, this film, it really works in the time period that it's in, it's pure 80s. Now it's 80s nostalgia, but at a time, it was just of that time. From the situations that happen, particularly before everything jumps off, you're like, okay, I feel this, this happens, then action sequence in the nightclub, which is so reminiscent of a type of Hitchcockian intensity to it, and it really drives home how this character, the Terminator, blends in with the crowd slightly, but he's so big because it's Arnold. Even at that time, you're just like, yeah, you pick him out of a crowd. And that's what the initial idea for it was, the fact that he was actually supposed to blend in even more, and Arnold wasn't even the original choice for the Terminator, which, surprising enough, the first choice that James Cameron wanted was none other than O.J. Simpson. Tragically ironic, but they thought he was too nice. Ooh. But anyway, Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor is a revelation. Like, she goes from being this meek, just trying to get by, and by the end it's like, oh crap, she goes through the ringer in this, and by the end you believe her. You're just like, yes, okay, do it, survive, because you really get pulled in it. And they even have time to bring romance in there with Kyle Reese. And of the trio, all three are completely memorable. They really chug the movie along. They make you feel for these characters, and by the end you're breathless because it's so intense, especially with the final showdown with the great creature effects by Stan Winston and crew. They made you believe that a cyborg really exists, especially at that time. I mean, all the physical models that they used, they look so uber real. It was great. There is this one portion at the climax, you're just like, alright, that's obviously visual effects of the time, but you're willing to forgive. I mean, it was 1984, and that's the best they could do at the time. And on top of that, there's the music, man. The music is so quintessential 80s, but it is memorable, man. It is amazing and really just fits in with everything that goes on in this thrill ride of a movie. And the way it ends, it really just opens the possibilities of what can happen next, and it leaves you wanting more. It is great cinema at its core. And on that note, Terminator 1984 gets a big resounding,
"You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention."
Really only because I felt like they could have done more, but they were working on a shoestring budget at the time. I think it was, budget was $6.4 million at that time, so I guess that was lower side of medium-sized budget, but they milked every penny out of it. And of course, then we get the eventual sequel. 7 years later, 1991, we get Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
And now this time, the plot revolves around John Connor himself, except he's a 10-year-old rebel in modern day society. His mother's out of the picture. She's in an insane asylum while he's with foster parents. And of course, eventually he meets up with the Terminator from the first one. Only this time he's here to protect him. Yeah, man, this is how you progress a series. This is a proper sequel. I mean, because you have the villain from the original one, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger as a T-800 as they're called. But of course in this one, he's been reprogrammed and brought back to protect John himself from an even crazier cyborg that is brought back to kill him. Played amazingly by Robert Patrick, and John Connor being played by newcomer Edward Furlong in definitely his best performance. Sadly, it's his first few performances in his career. And it's a really cool dynamic that they have going on between John Connor and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. And they make for some very exciting, heartwarming, and even funny moments, personal moments between the two characters. It's almost like an Abbott Costello type thing. But my God, man, this story, it's the most, when you watch it, you're like, alright, this is the most logical direction it could have gone. James Cameron outdoes what he did in the first one, which was great by itself. This one just took it to another level. I mean, it's 10 times better with 10 times the budget, literally. I mean, the movie cost $102 million to make, compared to the $6.5 million of the original one, and they used every penny of it to expert degree. I mean, just god level type of production with this. I mean, particularly for the fact that this is one of the first fully CG characters in the T-1000 that still looks amazing today. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, the action is awesome and works so well. It's heart-pounding action, throughout and you want more, and everything culminates and comes together in almost a perfect harmony. I mean, the sound was great. I mean, the gunshots that you hear, you felt like you were really there. The story beats are just impressive, particularly with all the character arcs, especially Sarah Connor's arc, because you come to her, she is completely different from the little waitress that she was in the first one that was just trying to get by. Now she is a mother badass in this movie, and Linda Hamilton kills it with this. Like, you could tell she worked out so hard. She looked like she could go in a daggone war right there, and she just is immaculate as this version. Especially like where you see her, it's like, okay, her character's in an insane asylum when you first come to meet her, and you're like, yeah, that actually makes sense. If you heard someone raving about there's a future from the future and it wanted to kill my baby, yeah, you put that person in a loony bin yourself. And of course, it turns out she has been preparing both herself and John ever since the first movie. It's like, okay, yes, that makes sense. On top of that, I mean, Arnold gives a great performance, obviously. I mean, like, this is his bread and butter. He's amazing. And of course, Stan Winston just upped the ante too, man. I mean, everything looked even better in this movie than it did in the original one. They used the budget so well, and yeah, it just shows he's at the top of his game. And man, just everything that happens in the story, I mean, where it ends, it really brings everything full circle. The loop is closed, and you're just like,
And the truth shall set you free! And that's the game! Nothing further, Your Honor.
but in a good way, man. You're just like, you're spent, you're done, you're like, alright, I've seen enough. I have been exalted. It's awesome, it's amazing. And on that note, Terminator 2 Judgment Day gets a nice, resounding, and poetic
I'll be back.
Yeah, gotta do it, man. Got to do it, because I've been back so many daggone times with this film, with both of these films. I mean, it's an amazing two-parter. Even though I wanted more, man. I was tearing up at the end. God. So anyway, YouTubers and cinephiles, have you seen the Terminator series? If you haven't, where have you been? Just watch them. Watch all of them and enjoy the awesomeness of these first two films. And patiently wait for the part 2 of this series. See you soon, YouTubers and cinephiles. If for now, YouTubers and cinephiles, if you like the content and you want to comment, like, share amongst your friends, but do me a favor and look below the video and click that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can get more amazing content like you just witnessed today. Y'all take care, YouTubers and cinephiles.